I've heard you mention now Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
Well, the Bureau of Indian Affairs is it was first under when it was founded under the War Department, which is now the Department of Defense, but it's now under the Department of the Interior. Okay, and so this is just interesting. The Department of Interior deals with fish and wildlife and land, and now you have the Bureau of Indian Affairs under there. So it's like they're putting us in the same category as fish and wildlife and land, which is just something really interesting to think about within itself.
Yeah.
But the Bureau of Indian Affairs was founded to pretty much oversee affairs in Indian country, whether that be boarding schools, whether that be allotments or reservations, keeping track of like blood quantum, tribal roles, who's on a roll, who's not on a roll, things like that. Now, the Department of the Interior and the Bureau of Indian Affairs have taken on, they also handle like federally recognized tribes. Like if you're submitting those applications, like they kind of look over those as well.
Okay.
But they kind of are now also overseeing other issues within Indian country. So there's been a lot of work in the last few years regarding the history of boarding schools in this country, Indigenous boarding schools. And so they've been collecting data and information and conducting community town halls to hear stories from boarding school survivors and really gather this information. So there's a lot. So the Bureau of Indian Affairs has kind of evolved over the last, couple centuries, from a department that was really founded almost on the harm of Indigenous people to now that is one that's like, hey, how can we work within Indian country? How can we, help people and make it better and things like that? So it's been a department that has really evolved, and the Assistant Secretary who oversees the Bureau of Indian Affairs is actually an Indigenous person, Brian Newland from Michigan. And the Department of the Interior, the Secretary of the Department of Interior is headed by Deb Haaland, who is also Indigenous. So it's pretty cool that we have two Indigenous people in those roles right now.